But she seldom did. Though she brought joy and warmth and laughter to tens of millions, she found little joy herself. This is the story of Marilyn Monroe. It was on such a stage, among such props, the camera, lights, the microphones and paint pots, that Marilyn Monroe practiced her craft and made her living. But she made her legend in another way. She made it day by day through all the happy months and the unhappy years of her improbable short life. And the story, the legend of Marilyn Monroe, is as unlikely as any celluloid adventure ever patched together by the Hollywood that spawned her. Marilyn Monroe was born in Hollywood in 1926. That year, the stars the movie fans pay homage to are tempestuous Gloria Swanson, alluring Pola Negri. But in the studios behind the scenes, other women work at less glamorous jobs. One of these is a film cutter named Gladys Baker. On June the 1st, 1926, she gives birth to a baby girl whom she calls Norma Jean. Sometime after the birth of her daughter, Gladys Baker, who had been deserted by the father of the little girl, suffers a nervous breakdown, and she's committed to a mental institution. The pretty child, now without a mother or a father, without any family, becomes a ward of the county of Los Angeles. It is early in the 1930s, and the United States is in the throes of a depression. Little Norma Jean spends most of her first 15 years being shuttled back and forth to a dozen foster homes. The county allots the sum of $20 a month for the homeless child. And the families that take her in do it principally because they need the money that she brings. For a short time during those years, Norma Jean's mother is thought to be cured, and she leaves the institution. She takes the little girl to watch Hollywood premieres. The two of them examine with awe the footprints of the mighty in the forecourt of Grauman's Chinese Theater. And when her mother must go back to the hospital, Norma Jean begins to weave her own fantasy that someday she will escape her loveless, lonely life and become a star, loved, applauded like her favorites. The handsome, romantic Clark Gable, the vivacious, sophisticated Claudette Colbert, the stalwart, friendly Gary Cooper. But the star she loves the most is Jean Harlow. And when Jean Harlow dies, at the age of only 26, 11-year-old Norma Jean Baker is inconsolable. In 1941, Norma Jean, now a pretty and very popular 15-year-old, graduates from junior high school. Her guardian decides that the young girl should marry the boy next door, a 21-year-old aircraft worker named James Dougherty. And so shortly after reaching her 16th birthday, Norma Jean becomes a Van Nuys, California housewife. World War II is underway, and Jim Dougherty goes off to sea in the Merchant Marine. His wife takes a job in a Burbank defense plant. In 1945, an Army photographer doing a story about girls working on the home front takes this picture of Norma Jean. It catapults her into a career as a photographic model for the Blue Book Agency. The Blue Book Agency makes a film test of her. It's the first time she appears before a motion picture camera. She loves it. And she's happy that the agency finds it easy to sell her as the wholesome girl next door type. A new world is opened up for Norma Jean. She divorces her husband and devotes her full time to working at her newfound profession. She soon obtains assignments with top photographers like Andre Didianis for magazines like Family Circle and U.S. Camera. But the photographers tell her that there is much more money in glamour girl shops and cheesecake. And they are right. The photo on the cover of Laugh magazine attracts Howard Hughes, the same producer who discovered Jean Harlow. His interest, in turn, induces one of his competitors, 20th Century Fox, to sign Norma Jean Baker to a movie contract. Norma Jean is ecstatic. Her own fantasies have begun to come true. The studio decrees first that she must have a new name. They call her Marilyn Monroe. But with the exception of 2 walk-ons, the only way they use her is for publicity shots. In 1947, they drop her. She goes back to modeling, but she continues her dramatic lessons. In these pictures, shot in 1948, she expresses peace, sorrow, and death. In that same year, her perseverance wins her a second chance at a movie contract, this time at Columbia Pictures. She's 22 now, and she's given her first promising movie role, the second lead in a musical called Ladies of the Chorus, in which she plays a young burlesque queen.
I don't care who, if it
The high point of the film for Marilyn is a chance to perform a solo song and dance routine.
baby needs a dad.
But again, the movie moguls see little promise in Marilyn Monroe, and they fail to renew her contract. But Marilyn has been raised on a steady diet of rejection. She swallows her disappointment and goes to work with a dramatic coach, supporting herself with occasional modeling jobs and unemployment insurance. She poses for calendars for artists like Earl Moran and photographers like Tom Kelly. She develops a sure instinct for publicity. She feels it's the best way to attract the Hollywood producers. And so when a dazzling blonde is needed to dress up a public occasion, Marilyn is there. She's photographed, and what's more, she enjoys it. The strategy pays off. She wins small but flashy parts in 2 fine pictures, The Asphalt Jungle and All About Eve. And the public loves her. In 1950, she signs a new contract with the studio that dropped her just 3 years before, 20th Century Fox. It's the time of the Korean War. And just as soldiers a decade before had worshipped Betty Grable, now suddenly, Marilyn Monroe becomes the GI's pinup queen. In 1952, Marilyn's new fame and her acting prowess result in her being starred with Joseph Cotton in a film called Niagara. To celebrate Marilyn's new star status, Ray Anthony throws an unmistakably Hollywood party in her honor. In July